For those who have joined, this is Dario Camplater with Hill Group Mid-Atlantic. Thanks for joining our call today. I've got us at 11 o'clock. We do have a small, more intimate group today, which is, I think, a good thing. And we'll get started here in just a minute or two. What I'd ask is, as you join, just mute your line. We'll certainly make opportunity for questions, and we'll get started in just a sec. Well, I think we'll go ahead and just start with some general housekeeping items. Again, my name's Dario Camplater with Hill Group Mid-Atlantic. Thank you so much for joining our, I guess what's become our bi-weekly webinar. We do these every other week, and we've been doing them since March, and we're excited to continue this series. Just a couple key points. As you're joining, please mute the line. We'll distribute a copy of the presentation as well as a recording of the presentation at the end of the session today. Stay tuned. We've got a couple interesting sessions coming up. Also, we've got one on December 3rd. We're going to have Dean DeCamera from our team talking about the importance of work comp and how it interacts with health benefits, employee benefits, and just managing the integration of the two. So stay tuned for that. That'll be on December 3rd. And then in the middle of December, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing an employee-facing overall wellness program or employee engagement program, where all of our clients and anybody who joins can extend their invitations to actual employees to participate. So we're excited about that one. So stay tuned for more information on that. But for today, we've got our very own two superstars, Cassie Spiegel, Director of Operations, and Kirsten Gervais. Did I say the name wrong, Kirsten? No, Kirsten Gervais. I said it exactly right. Account manager on our team, and I'm really proud to have them speaking today on an important topic. We're all dealing with it in some shape or form right now, is open enrollment and the challenges associated with open enrollment. So I'm going to turn it over to Cassie and Kirsten to kind of present. And again, we'll leave some time for questions at the end. I'll encourage, if you have some questions, you can use the chat feature, and we'll go from there. So Cassie and Kirsten, please take it away.
Thank you. Kirsten and I are going to go ahead and do the team approach on this, which is always nice. You get a little bit of variety there. I will go ahead and share the deck here. If I can. Or not. Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you. Technology, so fun. Okie doke. So virtual open enrollment, a place that we never thought we would really be in.
Cassie,
yeah.
Swap the screens.
Say again?
Swap the screens. Up at the top, display settings. Because we see we're seeing the
presenters side, not the
I don't know
display settings.
Thank you. How's that?
Perfect.
Better.
Okay, yay. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. So yeah, a place we never thought we would be in is a forced situation for having virtual open enrollment. You know, we as insurance brokers, as consultants, as humans, we really like to see people face to face. We like to go ahead and talk to your employees and engage with them about their problems and their questions and their personal issues. We do all that all day, every day, all year long. And, you know, this situation has forced us all into a non-face-to-face setting. And really, we have been able to find some great creative ways to still completely complete this task effectively and make sure that employees get the information that they need, make sure that our clients are getting exactly what they need, and we're sharing a ton of information. We still get the opportunity to educate. And that's really what we love to do. So that is really what we want to talk about today. So if we talk about, it seems so long ago, right, that we talk about meetings that were pre-COVID. So we would have big conference rooms full of people. Dario loves to joke about the amount of fruit I like to take to meetings and the kind of fruits I choose, but I like to take healthy snacks to meetings. We always take boxes of handouts and tons of paper. And we oftentimes are there for hours at a time working with your employees and having a lot of access all to each other in a face-to-face fashion. That also meant paper enrollment forms and hand-filled out enrollment forms that are potentially rife with errors. These are some of the things that we need to think about changing and are changing. The other thing that we see is some employees are engaged in those meetings and some are not. Some employees show up to these open enrollment meetings that we used to have, and some wouldn't. Some were just disinterested. So the changes that we've had to make really give people a different way to engage on their own time, in their own comfortable format. And that's really what we want to look at next. However, throughout, we like to ask questions during our open enrollment presentations because we like to keep it interesting. We know we have to do this. We know insurance is not the most exciting topic of all time. And to keep the employees engaged, we do want them to help us with some question and answers. So go to your chat and let's see, can my HSA or FSA funds be used for my pet? This is a yes or no question. Dario, I'll have you monitor the chat if you will, since I know you're on it.
And you don't get to answer, Dario.
That's right, you don't get to answer because
too late. I already answered it.
Oh gosh, okay. Anybody else want to pipe in there on the yes or no?
Feel free to use the chat feature.
All right, well, I will not hold you in terrible suspense. Dario is right. The answer is no. However, we put these questions up here because these are questions we get all the time. Now, I'm a pet owner. They are my family members. Would I love to use my FSA or HSA funds to cover their medical expenses? I would love that. Unfortunately, it's not allowed under the federal regulation, but it's a common question. So again, we like to keep it interesting with questions, and we will continue to do those throughout here. So, but let's move along for the moment. All right, so we know what it looked like pre-COVID, and now we kind of know what it looks like during COVID as to how we can handle these open enrollment meetings. And yes, I do feel like, oh, I advanced too far. I do feel like open enrollment is the most wonderful time of the year. It really is. It's magical. I know. It's stressful, but it's an exciting time for the employees because we hope that they get everything that they need. If they need to make benefit changes, they can do it. And how do we do that now? So we're doing a lot of video conferences or conference calls. I have one client I did a call with last night from 7 until 8:30. They wanted to do a call after hours that their employees could join, that their spouses could also join. And because of our current format of pushing everything through video and conference calls, that's just becoming more common, which is great. We want employees and spouses together to be able to do these calls. We want them to know what's available to themselves and their families. Oftentimes, information that's given at work is not communicated home, and that's not ideal. So your spouse or partner at home simply may not know what's available to them from a services standpoint, all the wellness services, all the additional gym memberships and EAP lines. We want the whole family to know that. So this format really opens that up for us and for you. We also are placing and encouraging clients to place a lot of documents on their intranet site. So if you've not established an intranet site in the past, you'd be surprised how many clients have not, and that's okay. We certainly encourage it at this point. Anywhere you can create a library of documents for your employees to self-serve and to educate themselves is ideal. We are doing both live and recorded video sessions. Each really have their place. The session I did last night only had 8 people, I think, that joined. So it was a live session, and those 8 people could go ahead and ask questions as they had them, which is an ideal personal setting. It's ideal to answer those questions in that format so that people feel the personal attention that we can still import there. We're also talking a lot, probably more now than ever, about clients and customers that want to move to an electronic or a format for enrollment or a portal, whether that's a full HRIS system or whether that's simply an enrollment tool that's electronic. Either way, The need and the desire for that has certainly escalated. Even pre-COVID, we started to move in that direction with clients really wanting to have hands off the physical paper format. As we all, as business owners, as HR people, as CFOs, we want to spend our time on things that are beneficial to our businesses. Handling paper may not be that thing. So we do talk a lot about using electronic formats. It also increases accuracy of enrollment. When people complete a paper enrollment form, there are always going to be mistakes. The person keying that will always make a mistake because handwriting is challenging. So, the other thing with open enrollment meetings during COVID that are conference-based, video conference or not, only the employees that are really interested will attend, and those employees do engage. They ask questions. They're interested in their healthcare. They're interested in their benefits. And that's great for us. That's great for the rest of the employees. We want engaged employees. We want to help them be engaged in the process. Ooh, it's another benefits trivia. Okay, get your chat ready there, folks. Here's the question. My parents live with me. They do not work. They are not eligible for Medicare. Can they be added to my insurance policy? Again, question we get all the time.
And if you can't access chat, you can also unmute yourself and say the answer.
Thank you, Kirsten. That is a great point. Margie says NP. Okay, there we go, Margie. Thank you, ma'am.
I was going to say no problem.
Me too. I was like, whoa, okay. All right, so Margie is correct. You cannot add your dependent parents because they're not truly dependents under the federal law. Some will say, well, my parents can't care for themselves. That's another issue entirely. That would be more of a social program issue, but you're never able to, I shouldn't say never, 99% of the time you are not able to add your parents to your policy. I have had one client one time that wrote a fully self-insured policy, and they could basically choose whoever they wanted to cover, and they chose to include their parents. But that is the only policy in my whole career I've ever written like that. It was very unusual. So the answer is no, but interesting and good question. These are also pro tip here. You can always include these in your employee meetings as well. If you're having a staff meeting, an employee meeting, include these as kind of trivia questions, have prizes. It's a good way to increase engagement. But let us move on. All right, so having a successful open enrollment season is all about the preparation. So it's preparation, preparation, preparation. You've got to plan ahead. There are and continue to be new things happening in the benefits world, in the employment law world all of the time as it relates to healthcare. So make sure that you have all of the most recent legal information, legal highlights. We send these out continually. So anything, any legal change that happens that's related to HR, we are sending those things out on a regular basis. If you're on this call and you're not getting those from me personally, please let me know, because I do send those out on a regular basis. So make sure that you know of those things that have come up and you can educate upon them. And again, I will continue to drive this about considering an online enrollment system. As I say, that can be tied to payroll. It can be not tied to payroll. It can be tied to a general HRIS system, or it can be a standalone. In a minute here, in a couple more slides, Kirsten is going to go over the standalone system that we offer that works really, really well in these kinds of cases. And that's where I would say the future of benefits enrollment is going, is seeking an opportunity to have less paperwork. So we will certainly help you with that. Another great way to prepare for an open enrollment season is to do a survey. Survey the employees, and we will absolutely help you do this and help you launch it. Find out what the employees like about what's currently being offered, find out what they wish you would be offering, and then we can go through that together and find out how we can round out your offering. Sometimes those are going to be things that the employees would anticipate the employer would cover. Honestly, most times they're not. Right now, we offer a lot of voluntary types of benefits that don't cost the employer anything. Listen, we know that budgets are a challenge right now. Many of us have been affected by COVID, and loss of revenue. Some of us have not. Regardless, no employer that I know wants to spend more money on their benefit expense. It's already such a huge expense that we work so closely to manage throughout the year. So offering voluntary benefits like accident and cancer insurance, whole life policies, pet insurance, legal insurance, all of those things are completely voluntary, but really add to the value of an employee's benefit package. All those things are payroll deducted for them. It makes it very easy for them to take those things and for you to be seen as an employer that offers a really well-rounded package. It's just really, really important for employee retention right now, for sure. Let's go ahead. I bet we have another question coming up here. Oh, I do. Oh, it's exciting. Here's the next question. Get your little chat fingers ready. I'm married, but I'd like to add my girlfriend to my policy too. Can I do that? Again, question we get all the time.
Question we got in a big open enrollment meeting even.
Mm-hmm.
That is all sorts of wrong. I will tell you that much.
Some people have no shame and some people have shame and will at least ask us in private, but yeah. And who knows if they were just asking for shock value, it's very possible, but nonetheless, we get asked this all the time.
Well, it's important for me to know the answer to that one.
Yes, it is important. It's also, people also will ask if they can add the children that they've had outside of their marriage. And that's a trickier one. Technically they're dependent, but the girlfriend is a hard pass. So the answer to that question is no, in case you were wondering. All right, let's go ahead and talk about reimagining open enrollment. Now, we've all had to reimagine our lives, if you will, right now. Everything is different. We're all right now, again, being super safe, staying home, wearing a mask, not having any interaction with our coworkers or very minimal interaction with our coworkers. And so it's really reimagining all of the things that we've done for so many years when it comes to benefits. We have this kind of playbook, if you will, of what we all do. And that has really had to change. So when we talk about reimagining open enrollment and we are talking about virtual open enrollment fairs, what is that? Is that a positive? Is it a negative? So far, we've really seen it as a positive. It's very convenient. As I mentioned, being able to have your spouse or partner on the line with you to hear the presentation is great. Virtual fairs are more accessible. People don't have to drive to a location. They don't have to probably be off the job as long as they would if they had to go to a meeting. So if they had to drive to your site, they drove an hour to get there. It was an hour meeting, they drove back. It's way less time away from the job if it's a virtual meeting. You do also reduce travel costs and printing expenses. So I mentioned all that paper in the beginning. All of that paper that you may have to print for these events goes away. There's an expense tied to that for sure. Every piece of paper printed has a cost associated to it. It's also eco-friendly. All of us love that. Less paper, less damage to the environment. And yes, any employees that would have travel costs associated with them coming into a meeting, that goes away. So definitely a cost-effective option. If we talk about using digital resources, that would be using your intranet, using a web-based enrollment portal, something to that nature. That's an evergreen situation. So what you're doing is you're setting up a library of information for that employee to go to and access throughout the year, not just at open enrollment. Although we all do a great job at open enrollment of sharing and educating those employees, and we may have one-on-one conversations, let's face it, oftentimes that employee walks out the door and they've already forgotten what you've said. So having evergreen resources, then it's a matter of you re-educating your employee on where those resources live and how they can help themselves and how they can self-serve. We need to get into a format of employees self-serving and investing in the knowledge that they need to have to manage their health, to manage their health care, to manage their wellness throughout the year. And having evergreen resources really, really helps them do that. At the end of the day, a virtual open enrollment meeting is the safest option. It's safe for you as the employer, as the HR person, and it's safe for your employees. We want no contact options. We have to have no contact options. And luckily, through technology, we were easily able to all pivot on this and make sure that we still provide a super high level of attention to your employees while still keeping everybody safe. And that is a really, I mean, that's really the most important thing for us. Okay, another trivia question. Telehealth has dramatically increased in utilization, which is awesome. You know, we've been talking about telehealth for years and years. We wanted employees to have easy access to a healthcare situation that wasn't so costly as potentially them going and spending 5 hours in the ER and $1,500 when it was something very, very minor that really wasn't even necessary for the ER. But there's still an education process around this. So some employees still who have not used telehealth are not sure what to use it for. So what's something that would not be appropriate for a telehealth visit? All right, Margie's already piped in a heart attack or other emergency. Exactly. Heart attack, life, limb, bleeding, airway. So all of the things that you know of that you really need to be seen in an ER, those are non-starters, right? So you need to get to the ER, you need to call an ambulance, you need to get the appropriate care. Something else, we had a client that got upset because telehealth would not assist them with their son's broken arm. Hold that thought for a minute, broken arm. Yeah, it's not there's some common sense that has to play in here, right? So if you feel you have a broken limb, that would be another reason to go to the ER or even an urgent care. Urgent care can handle a broken arm or leg in many cases. But when in doubt, you probably should go to the ER. If you have time, my rule of thumb is if you have time to really question, should I go to the ER? Should I not? You probably don't need to go to the ER. That's my normal rule of thumb. But yes, Margie, heart attack, bleeding, airway, broken bone, 100% ER. Telehealth visits are a great opportunity when you think you have a sinus infection, you've had one before, when you might have a rash and you've had one before. Pink eye is a great one. Many people are using telehealth for COVID screening. So if you feel you might have some COVID symptoms, do a telehealth visit, have them help screen you, and they can say, yeah, you ought to come in for a COVID screening, or no, we think that's just a virus, just rest and give us a call back in a few days if you're still not feeling well. So definitely encourage you and your employees to use telehealth. It's very cost effective and it's very convenient, and it keeps us out of the healthcare setting, which is really a no contact option, which is what we're shooting for.
You can also use telehealth for mental health visits now.
Thank you. That is a great point.
Which is big. And, you know, everybody knows that COVID has been hard on many, many people. The isolation, all of these things, it's hard from a mental health standpoint. So this is a way that somebody can get help from their house, which in a lot of cases, people are more likely to do that. So, you know, that's something we like to talk about with employees as well, that, you know, you can use telehealth for mental health visits.
Kirsten, I think that's such a great point. I think the availability for telehealth for mental health has also broken some barriers for people that they feel like maybe there's not, I don't feel there's ever been a stigma there, but some people have a perceived stigma with getting mental health assistance. And this feels like a more private option for people, which I think is great. If they're more comfortable doing a mental health telehealth visit from their office or their home, I definitely encourage it. The other thing that's interesting is the number of new services that you may have seen pop up that offer additional resources. Talkspace, Headspace, all the different vendors that you can even engage. I think Lemonade, it's an amazing amount of ingenuity that's arisen out of this time that is helping people achieve mental wellness. And that's so important. The numbers are dramatically up for the mental health need. The prescription writing for antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds is dramatically up, as are the liquor sales. So those things in combination are really, really negative for our population health and health management. So it is really important that we make sure our employees know how to access mental health services, whether it's through the health plan, whether it's through EAP, whether those things are not working and we need to help you to find a resource where they can more easily access care. Either way, the need has dramatically risen, and we definitely need to assist our employees with that. So Kirsten, thank you for bringing that up. That's a great point. All right, Kirsten, I think I'm going to hand it over to you at this point.
Yes. So as Cassie we've talked about this already about web-based enrollment systems, but this is going to dive a little bit deeper. It really gives employees more power. It lets them enroll at their own pace when they want to. They can they can take it home, so to say, where they can log on, access this from home, and go over the options with their spouse or their partner. It makes it more accessible, and enrollment in some cases go up because of that. Not always, but it's another way to engage with your employees. We do the next slide. So this is a little bit, just a little snapshot of Employee Navigator. This is the option that we offer here at HILP. So we can put employees on Employee Navigator, and that gives you as the employer, you get access to a lot of reporting. You can see things like turnover. You can see things like employee birthdays. There's so much data that's there, and that it puts it all in one space, and it's accessible for employees. So this is what an employee would see if they were to log on and, this employee didn't finish their enrollment. So that's, it's going to walk them through step by step how to finish their enrollment. This is also a place where if you don't have an intranet, this is a place where you can house a lot of that information that would traditionally be on an intranet. You can put things like your employee handbook in here. Then you can also, make sure that employees have to sign off on it when they're new hires. There are a lot of things that you can house on Employee Navigator. It might not necessarily take the place of a full intranet, but it is something that can supplement it. And it's really nice to have all the benefits and all the benefit data all in one. That way an employee isn't searching for or calling. It puts the power in the employee's hand. They're going, well, where's the SBC for this plan? What plan coverage do I have? Am I covered under medical? Do I have my kids covered? This way they can log in and see their coverage levels. They can see what plans they have. And when it comes to open enrollment, they can see easily what plans are available and compare them. So next slide. So this is just a little overview of what it looks like when you enroll. This is Vision. It gives you options where you can just enroll yourself, and it breaks the cost down for each tier. So this is a very expensive Vision network, and we would not normally, I would say don't enroll in this, but of course this is a demo. So this breaks it down where for an employee only, then the employee could see, oh gosh, that's only $5. But if I want to enroll my whole family, oh my goodness, that's $46. But also in here, you can compare. If there are two plans, you can compare, you can look at the details, which breaks down coverage a little bit more. It gives you an overview of what the benefit is. It really lets employees have that power where they're not just sitting in their room listening to us talk. We still do the enrollment meetings via Zoom often, but this really, we all know a lot of times, it's like Charlie Brown's world. We start talking about insurance and a lot of people just start hearing want. And that's okay. This way they can see that information right there. So even if they heard us saying want, they can see that information and they can make the decisions that are appropriate for them and their situation. Next slide. And so they can also decline through here. Obviously, we want people to enroll, but this also gives them the option to decline. And it gives one of the reasons I want to show this is just because I want to show what Employee Navigator does. Like they really dive deep into a lot of things where it's not just one option of like, no, I don't want this. They want you to say why you don't want this. of course, somebody can select other, but very often people will select the appropriate reason, which is great. And it gives you more information, because if you have a whole bunch of employees waiving because of cost, that might be something that triggers a way to, something for corporate, for HR and CEO, everybody to work together and to look at your contribution strategy. That might be something that's like, well, gosh, everybody waived out of this because it was expensive. Let's maybe think about this. Let's maybe look at a different carrier. Let's maybe look at a different plan to make it more affordable, so that way we can get people covered and enrolled in this. Next slide. There we go. Employees can then also use Employee Navigator for self-service. They can, if they have a life event, if they get married, they have a baby, things like that, they can go in there and add that coverage and add that dependent on their own. You'll get a notice as the HR, you'll have to approve things, because it obviously goes through payroll. So you need to be aware of all these things. But this way, it really puts the power in the employee's hands of, oh, so I know that I had this baby. I need to make sure I, add the baby on here. You can drop coverage through here, say their spouse becomes eligible through their employer for open enrollment. It gives a whole option and a lot of power to the employees, which is great. You want people to have more options and have that ability to help themselves, because then they tend to engage more. And that's our ultimate goal. So can we use an FSA for a yoga class? I think this is our last trivia question.
Oh, these are fun. I like these, but go ahead and chat your answer. And then we'll give you a minute here.
Because it is wellness,
It is wellness, you're right.
You can argue that.
That's right. All right, Kirsten, put them out of their misery, because clearly no one knows the answer to this.
No, you cannot. Even though it is a wellness related thing, it is not FSA eligible. I know it's kind of lame. IRS just doesn't want to, go down that road. They are not, they don't have OM.
Yeah, should you wish to do this, and we have clients that do offer a wellness fund, and let's say each employee has an annual wellness fund of $200, and they give the employees a list of the things they could use that wellness fund for. So it might be gym membership, it might be yoga classes, it might be a fitness watch, it might be a scale that manages your body weight, your body fat, all those different things. So there are certainly opportunities where you can create wellness funds internally without really the oversight of the federal government. But it's a great value for your employees, because a yoga class is a great example. It's great mentally and it's great physically. So we want to encourage people to do these kinds of things, and we can help employers find ways to make that happen.
Yes, and on that same note, and this will play into the next slide, you can also do things remotely, like things like a chair yoga class. And that really will hopefully get employees engaged. And it's something to offer that's not just another Zoom meeting. It's not just another, staff meeting where you're getting a little bit of a different experience, and people enjoy that. They like to mix it up. So we have some other ideas on there. It's like things like a virtual health fair. You can even have people virtually visit different tables. Like, you need to go to this vendor, or you don't have to, but these are the vendors available. You can go and visit them virtually. You can have somebody that does yoga. You can have a nutritionist. You can have all sorts of wellness or health related vendors. There are companies that offer this, that will get all of those vendors for you and set up a virtual fair for you. It really will engage employees, and it's different. It's something that's different. There are employers that like to have a big health fair, in person, but this year it's just not going to happen. So virtual virtual fair is a good way to substitute that this year. You know, things like raffle prizes are always popular. Everybody likes to win something. So, you know, you can offer a raffle prize, you know, say, hey, everybody that, you know, the first 10 people that complete their enrollment, they get a $5 Starbucks card or Amazon gift certificate, things like that. You know, we've been having the trivia throughout our presentation. That's something that is engaging with employees. We've had a lot of success with that because it gets people thinking they have to do things like, you know, answer a question. So it gives them, you can run it as a poll, it gives them something to do where it's not just listening to somebody drone on about insurance. You can also assign employees to cover different topics. You can say things like, this group is going to talk about what a deductible is. This group is going to talk about what vision insurance will cover. This group will talk about dental insurance, things like that, where people have to look at it in a different light, not just in the light of the employee. They have to look at it in a way that they can express how this works to their fellow employees. It really gets, it's a different way of approaching it, but anything that really gets your employees engaged is something that you want to do. It's hard right now. Right now, everything is virtual, and a lot of employees and a lot of employers are feeling like they're less engaged with their employees. So these are ways to really engage with employees and get them interested in a time where we can't all be together in the same room. So I think we have some other ideas as well. So there are, you know, say open enrollment's over. These are other, you know, things that you can do throughout the year that you can really utilize to keep engagement throughout the year. Things like a roundtable after enrollment. Let people ask questions. Ask how they've been using the plan, or if there were any concerns or anything like that. Ask how they felt that open enrollment went. Things like that, where you get their feedback. It's a good thing to check in with them, and you know, it's great to engage your employees in a way where they feel like they have a voice in what their benefits are and a voice for, you know, how they think that things went. You know, you always want to continue an education process. It's great for employees. Insurance perhaps is not the most interesting. However, but things like wellness are important, you know, and insurance can help you achieve those goals. You can send things like a wellness letter with something like, you know, a recipe that's appropriate for the season. Like, it's almost Thanksgiving, you know, here's a way to make a healthy apple dessert, something like that. You know, it just things, give people ideas, and just try to keep communications open. Also things like a monthly office hours, you know, that way people, you know, open door, say, I have an open door for this amount of time every week. Come in, ask me about claims. If you have any questions, anything that comes up, this is your time to come in and address those with me, and I'll be able to help you however I can. Things like promoting preventative care are also a great thing to do. You know, promoting things like go get your flu shot, you know, and giving people not just say go get your flu shot, but here are some places, you know, close that you can get your flu shot. You know, there's a CVS almost on every corner. Now here, you know, go to your local CVS. Things like that are very low cost for the employer, and it gets good messaging out. You know, and again, if you have employees that are not covered on your insurance, you can also do vouchers. So that way they can go get a flu shot at no cost.
Yeah, Kirsten, I'm glad you brought up the preventive care angle. You know, it is important that we continue to encourage our employees to seek wellness services, to be getting their mammograms, their well womens, their physicals, their colonoscopies. These things cannot fall off. You know, disease is not stopping because of COVID, and we need to make sure people are still taking care of themselves. Services are definitely down. People going and getting these things definitely took a big dip. It has started to come back up again, but we need to encourage, we need to remind, and letting people know that what's available to them at no cost is honestly the biggest trigger for people. Oh, I can get that done at no cost. Great, I'll go get it done. But we can't wait until next year when hopefully people are vaccinated for people to start getting their preventive care services again, because disease is not going to stop progressing over that time. And we need to catch anything early for employees. It's for their health, their family's health, their productivity for you as the employer. And from a cost standpoint, treating things early is always going to be least expensive for your health plan than waiting until it gets dramatically bad. That's going to be a huge hit. So overall, we just need to continue to remind employees that getting wellness services and preventive care is a must right now.
Yeah. You want to make sure, exactly, addressing that stuff early is always key. So here are some other these are more fun ideas for virtual, sending out things, to do at home, like a group cheese tasting, or even a virtual painting lesson, get a little Bob Ross going, where you can send out a little bit of paint to each employee, and then, somebody walks you through how to do that. There's always a virtual happy hour, but you can also do things like a virtual scavenger hunt. That's become very popular. It can be a lot of fun where, hey, you have to go find this and then, take the picture or show it up. But then there's also things like coworker trivia. Like, how much do you know about your coworkers? Who of your coworkers has a really cute corgi? Do you know the answer to that? Things like that. You can also do things like send out packets of tea. We're going to have a tea tasting and talk about, what do you like about this one or not? It's just ways to get people talking to each other and not feeling quite as isolated, because this is a time where, you're spending a lot of time in your house, and presumably working. You don't have your coworkers there. This is a good way to really talk to them in a way that's not just about work. It's getting, something a little bit deeper. You can do things like a hobby show and tell. It's like, you never know what your coworker does. You don't really know. This is an opportunity. People like to talk about themselves. Like, let's be real. So this is a way that, it's like, do you have an interesting hobby? Do you have something, something very random that you collect? This is a way to talk about it and just, show and tell. Kindergartners love it for a reason. Adults love it too. There are also things like, making a virtual cookbook, or even, virtual cookbooks, or just trivia questions. So, okay. Anybody have any questions in here?
Well, I was going to just say what an amazing job and an overview of some of the capabilities that clients can take advantage of, and how we or you guys support the client. So great job. A couple questions that came to mind, and I'll pepper them in right now, is what if a client wants to do an in-person open enrollment, right? That's one. And then the second question, which goes back to a little bit of the telehealth and the well-being, is can you comment on EAPs and the importance of those right now too?
Yeah, so we have certainly gotten very few requests for in-person meetings. It is not our preference right now to do an in-person meeting. It's important to us that we keep our own staff safe. So if we were to do an in-person meeting, I would probably only offer that in an outdoor format. So if you have a gathering place that you could gather your employees plus us, and we could do a session outside, we're happy to do that. For the most part, people are accepting the fact that we need to do these in a really safe format and do them virtually. I've offered, and my team has offered, a lot of one-on-one phone calls. So we did a meeting this week where I think I had like 15 people on the line on the video, and we went by every single person and answered their question one by one. We can get creative and we can still give the personal attention. Again, my focus is just keeping our team safe.
Thank you.
And then regarding the EAP, what was your question specifically?
Just to, education of clients on maximizing their EAP benefits, things that generally go without thought sometimes that they even have an EAP. What would you suggest to employer today?
Yeah, I would say, go ahead, Kirsten, I'm sorry.
Most EAPs do have client, employee facing materials. That this would be a great time to ask about that, ask us about that. We have a lot of that on hand. We can always ask, and then sending that out, because you want to remind people that it's available. You may not be able to make somebody use it, of course, but really, frankly, most people forget that they have an EAP. So if you just tell them and, show them, what's available and all of that, then they're more likely to use it.
Yeah, I would certainly say that's another topic we're talking a lot more about right now, which are EAP services, as employers are asking more for the ability for staff people to access mental health and wellness services. We are oftentimes saying, okay, here's what's available through your health insurance, and then here's what's available through your EAP. Couple these two things together and let's see if we can address the problem that way. If we can't, let's find another resource for mental health services. But generally, because EAP handles finances, they handle marital issues, childcare issues, all sorts of things. EAP is a tremendous resource that, yes, we are certainly talking a lot more about right now.
Great, thank you. I'll open it up to any questions to the group. Again, you can use the chat, and just for a reminder for anybody who's on the call, we will be sending out a copy of the presentation along with the recording of today's session. So just in case. And also I want to take a moment just to thank Molly Jackson on our team, who coordinates all these webinars. She does an amazing job in really helping us with that. And so thank you to Molly. Any other questions, folks? Well, with that, I think I've got us at 11:47, so you get 13 days back in your day. I want to take a moment just to thank Cassie and Kirsten to really cover today's topic. Obviously, everybody's dealing with open enrollment in some shape or form around this time of year. So we appreciate people taking the time to get on the call today. And thank you to Cassie and Kirsten for giving us a comprehensive overview. I love some of those other ideas for employee engagement. I'm going to take some of those takeaway. I like the paint by numbers. We might see that in our own team. So stay tuned. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. And for those that I don't talk to, have a very safe and pleasant Thanksgiving. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.